A philosopher by temperament, a teacher by vocation, an administrator by discipline, and a beloved statesman handpicked by Nehru. The life of Dr. Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan is an inspiring one that starts in a small district in Tamil Nadu and finally reaches the highest office of the nation. Though he clearly had very natural intellectual, diplomatic, and visionary gifts, it is the humble choices he made and what he did with those gifts that deserve noteworthy attention. As a philosopher, he took the effort to articulate the depth of Indian philosophy in a way that the West could understand. His 2 volumes on Indian philosophy are almost a go-to Indian textbook to get a sweeping overview of Indian thought. It was Thomas Macaulay who said, "A single shelf of a good European library was worth the whole native literature of India." This was in fact the dominant Western view. They believed that Indian literature had nothing substantial to offer. It is in this context that Sarvepalli Radhakrishnan sets out to write an orderly account of Indian thought in such a systematic way that even Bertrand Russell had to admit that Indian philosophy was a force to reckon with, and that Radhakrishnan was, in his words, a man of real philosophical stature. As a teacher, he was able to bring out the best in his students. He famously stated that teaching is primarily a dialogue between the student and the teacher, and everything else is at the fringes. He taught all over the world and even delivered the Hibbert Lectures of 1929. He became the Vice Chancellor of Andhra University and later of Banaras Hindu University. The extent to which he was loved by his students can be understood in a rare gesture in 1921 when Radhakrishnan was leaving Mysore University to join the university at Kolkata. His students took him to the train station in a flower-decked carriage which was pulled by the students themselves. He wrote letters and kept in touch with many of his students for years after they had finished their formal education. As an administrator, he brought about a number of reforms in education which are still prevalent today. He emphasized the need for a central university that can hold up academic standards, but also the required flexibility needed for these colleges to be autonomous. And finally, as a statesman, his career started as a diplomat. Nehru sent him on tough diplomatic missions all over the world. Joseph Stalin famously stated this after meeting Radhakrishnan: "You are the first person to treat me like a human being and not a monster." After his diplomatic missions, Radhakrishnan rose to be the first Vice President of India and then its President. And so we see that he was not just an armchair thinker but a man of action. And hence it's fitting to celebrate Teachers' Day on his birthday because good education should always lead us to the right action. It is a day we can use to reflect on the teachers who have shaped our lives and led us to be better human beings. As an important architect of Indian education system, Radhakrishnan emphatically stated that the purpose of education is not just mental or physical growth of the student, but most importantly, the growth of their spiritual sensitivity. That education can never develop a person unless it factors in the soul and the need to nurture the eternity within.